See this sticker on RVs? That's the Recreation Vehicle Industry Association seal. And people think that it means the RV is high quality. Well, not exactly. It means it passed safety standards, wiring, plumbing, fire protection. But leaks, slide issues, appliances quitting early? Yeah, that can still happen. So the real question RVers are asking is simple. Does that sticker mean quality, or is it just safe enough?
All right, we have with us your friend and fellow camper, Cousin Dave from Middle River, Maryland. Show him some love, folks. And Dave, we appreciate you joining us today. I really appreciate it, but let's jump right into it because we got a lot of questions. RVia's got questions about this. So question one, I just need to know this. RVIA, what does the seal actually guarantee, and what are people assuming that it does?
Guaranteeing, it doesn't guarantee a thing, okay? It just says that, yeah, this meets these standards. That's all it stands for. And people assume that when they see that on there, that RV is perfectly flawless, top to bottom, everything is going to work perfect the first time.
I got you. Now, I'm assuming that this is just simply a baseline standard.
Right. It's just like any other standard or any other building code. They have to meet at least that standard. They can go beyond that if they want, but they can't go below it.
I got you. Now, is it a promise that there won't be issues later?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, it's just like any other thing else.
Right.
Look at your car or cell phone. Yeah, you can buy it now and 10 days down later, it breaks down.
And how often are manufacturers required to keep checkups on these certifications? Like how often?
The manufacturer doesn't. The RVIA itself actually does. And they do kind of a random check, kind of like a OSHA kind of thing.
Ugh.
They'll pop in roughly every 3 months-ish, somewhere in that time frame. They'll actually stop the production on the line, go through the whole process, what they got, make sure it's all still meeting code.
Okay.
The only exception to that is tiny houses. They're done, I believe I remember seeing every 45 days.
Okay.
You know, to tighter tolerance on what they have to build. Totally understandable there.
Yeah, I definitely get that. And y'all saw the tiny home episode. This is some good information to know. Now, why do lenders prefer, insurance companies and lenders? Why do they prefer RVIA certified?
Simple. If it's RVIA certified, the major systems of it are being made to a standard. Okay. So the chance of an insurance company having to pay out are a lot less. It's just like a car insurance company.
Okay.
If you have a good driving record, they're less likely to pay out and get a better rate on it.
Right.
So if somebody goes out there and builds their own camper and tries to insure it, well, they don't know how it's built. So their chances of payouts are higher. That's why they like the RVIA.
So in other words, it's just simply risk.
Basically.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Now, how does RVIA manufacturers, how do they keep manufacturers accountable? I guess that's the question I want to ask.
When they do their inspections, they have a couple of chances to fail until they get things corrected, no big deal. If they fail 3 times consecutive, no changes at all. The way I'm understanding is their RVIA membership is pulled. They're taken off the inspection schedule, so they don't get their regular routine, and they can't get any more of the RVIA stickers. Now, they can get back on that schedule. They have to pay a fine. I think it's $1,000 I read. Their entire process has to get re-inspected, start to finish, just like it was the first time around. Their product has to be done start to finish, the same as it was the first time around. Then they can be put back on the RVIA schedule.
Wow. So if they fail inspection, they got to cough up the cash and go through a whole different inspection.
Right.
Interestingly, I didn't know that.
Along with that, though, some of the big companies, that may not matter much.
Okay.
You get these small companies, the time it takes to do all that, the cash that they have to cough up, could put them out of business.
So they just fold and that's it?
They could. That's purely speculation. Never seen any cases of it.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If these rigs pass certification, why do so many RVers still feel like their RV was rushed or poorly built?
Materials. Basically, is what it comes down to is materials. Yeah, their certifications say you have to build to this standard, but they're only safety systems that they're concerned with. Take, for instance, cabinetry in there.
Okay.
It doesn't have anything to do with the RVIA. Have you noticed what they're made of? Made out of thin, cheap plywood or plastic. Now, some of that is for weight savings. I get that. You want to keep the rig as light as possible so you can bring more with you. But they're using low-grade materials. Some of that, I'm figuring, comes from they want to make as much overhead as they can.
Right.
They're using cheap materials to get more out of it. But now, move up to the higher brands like the Tiffins, things like that. What do you notice about their quality? Much better. Much better construction. Better techniques that they're put together with.
Okay. I never thought about that, but that makes sense. So cabinetry is not part of the RVI.
Right. In fact, if you look on their seal, I can't say exactly what it is because I don't remember right offhand. But it's basically electrical, plumbing, heating, and fire safety. That's all they're really looking at.
So the certification is mostly like installing safety items rather than part quality.
Pretty much.
And do some manufacturers lean on the sticker while pushing out the unit so fast? Or do they lean on it like, like, hey, we got this sticker here, it's good stuff?
I'm sure some of them do, but you really can't find any solid evidence one way or the other. I mean, every company out there is going to tout their thing as being the best, no matter what it is.
Right. So let me ask you this, and this has been, especially COVID, it's been a conversation that keeps coming up. Did the industry start pushing out RVs faster, especially during COVID, than they really should have?
Why I don't understand is why they were making them at the rates they were making them when nobody was buying them. I mean, you got basically restrictions where you could and couldn't go, but yet they were still producing at the same amount. So they're sitting on a lot for how long before somebody buys it now?
Well, let me. I don't want to defend, but I guess the other side of the coin. The thought process was that people were buying them so that they could go out because we were allowed to go out and camp, like out in public, outside space. The inside spaces were relatively restricted.
Right.
That's the only reason why I can think, say that. But a lot of the owners say that they became a huge quality control concern. Is that a fair criticism?
Quality has always been a problem with them. I mean, give me a second here. Every one I've owned since that sliding camper I had back in the 90s, it's always been cheap material, low quality stuff. Of course, then again, I'm on the cheap end of the scale too.
Right.
So that's not to say that's not an unfair criticism. It's just misplaced.
Okay. Now, if inspectors are checking factories, how are these issues on quality still slipping through?
Because they're not actually checking for those. They're only checking for the safety items.
Y'all hear that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, here's something that you and I have had some dialogue about. Does RVIA influence campground policies, or is that strictly campground owners?
There's no clear-cut answer there.
Okay.
But what I can come across, if they have that RVIA, and it may or may not be up to their insurance companies of the campgrounds.
Okay.
Some may require it, some don't. But it seems to be a lot of campgrounds are laying on that as a crutch, to saying, oh, well, our insurance company requires you to have it.
Okay.
There's no proof either way.
So you can honestly say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that sometimes that sticker has become a gatekeeping policy versus reality.
To a point, and it kind of has some back up to it too.
Okay.
The same as with the 10-year thing. They didn't have anything to do with influencing it, but it has a little bit of a tie into it.
Okay, and now that you mentioned 10-year rule, let's dive right into it. Is RVIA connected to the 10-year rule?
From what I can say, no. They didn't push for it. They didn't do anything to even promote it. With that 10-year rule, basically it came from down south, from what I can find.
Okay.
The southern states, Georgia-ish down, somewhere around there. And it pretty much came from the parks that have resort in their name. They wanted to keep a certain appearance. So they wanted to keep all the older rigs out of there, try to keep the newer ones in. And it kind of makes sense. If they got to pull a vehicle out of there, they want one they know they can get rid of.
Right.
They don't want older material in there just for the looks of the place.
So it's aesthetics, basically.
For the most part. And that worked okay up until COVID. And then they realized, well, wait a minute, we're not getting as many people in here as we should. Maybe we should drop that.
Okay.
And some of the parks out there that actually had it were saying, well, just send us a picture of your rig. Maybe we'll be okay. Other ones are saying, yeah, we don't care what you got, just bring it in.
Okay. So
it's really up to the park in that 10-year rule.
So let me ask you this. Do insurance companies treat certified rigs differently than DIY builds?
Absolutely. And for the same reason we mentioned earlier, the payouts on them.
Okay. So switching a little bit, because now we're kind of sort of coming down your street, conversions. So we're talking van, cargo trailers, schoolies, things of that note. Why are these treated differently even when they're built safely? Because a lot of people, especially in one of my groups, they want to know, is there a path for DIY rigs to meet standards, and could future programs include the builders?
Well, let me ask you this now.
Okay.
For the DIY rigs, how are you going to guarantee they're safe? There's nothing for it to go through to be checked, or at least none that exists that I could find.
So do you think RVIA could offer a program to say, hey, for X amount of dollars,
It wouldn't be worth it on their end. They'd have to be trained in little shops or individuals. And where would the advantage be for them?
I'm going to bring up another question in a little bit, because I hear some politics in the background of this, and we're going to get to that. But before we do that, I want to talk about your personal experience with a conversion. What issues have you faced without the certification?
Are you talking campground wise or what?
Yes.
None right now, for one simple reason. I just can't get long enough time off to go to any parks far enough away.
Okay.
The ones I have checked with, they basically said, yeah, it's no problem once they seen a picture of it.
Okay.
And while we were on vacation, we did a few different parks. And these are all ones that were in Maryland. And we've got answers from, no, it's absolutely not allowed to, yeah, bring whatever you got.
Who said, if you don't mind asking, that it wasn't allowed?
I don't remember offhand, because I know we hit like 6 places.
Okay. So I got a question, Dave. Places like Ocean City, Frontier Town, do you think that you would have a better chance there getting in or no?
Probably not.
Okay.
They seem to be extremely strict on everything there.
I got you. Okay. So definitely your larger resorts are going to be a little hinky with that.
It tends to be, from what I can see in conversion groups, for schoolies, DIY conversions, pretty much anything with resort in the name.
Okay.
They just don't want to have us in there.
Where do you camp specifically?
I like the state parks.
Okay.
When I go camping, I like the outdoors. I don't bring half the house with me.
Okay.
I get some people in that situation where they have to, particularly people who work on the road, living in it 24/7. Yeah, I get it. But I like the outdoors kind of stuff.
I got you. And let me ask you this. Any advice that you personally want to share for new builders?
Plenty.
Okay.
Firstly, do your research on what you want. Do a layout, everything. How you plan on putting in there? What do you plan on running? Do you want to have battery? Do you want to have solar? And believe me, it's a lot easier to put it in when you're building it than just to put it in later.
Exactly. Okay.
Secondly, stay away from gas appliances inside, because that gas line, it's not a headache you want to deal with, especially if it starts leaking.
Talking propane?
Yeah. Take your appliances outside. How hard is it to hook up a 20-pound bottle with a hose?
Much easier.
Move your grill to the outside, easy work. Now you have no gas leaks inside. If anything happens, it's all outside.
Interesting. Anything else with that?
We need how to do wiring the right way. A lot of people assume Romex that you use in a house is good for mobile applications. It's
not good for outside. Yeah.
Solid wire with vibration over wire, work hardens and breaks. So yeah, read up on that and learn the right way to do it.
Okay. And is there any particular resource that you can direct them to?
Not particularly.
All right. That means we got to do another show and we do a walkthrough of yours. You can show them how it was done right.
That sounds good to me.
My man, that's what I'm talking about. So here's where I want to sift a little bit to the politics of camping. And if everybody has gone through my page, you know, I've done a 3-part series on the politics of camping. Here's the other side of a 4-sided coin, or we call it dice at this point, the lobbying and influence. There's that wonderful word, lobbying and influence. Where does the lobbying that RVIA benefit? How does it benefit us RV owners?
Actually, it benefits us quite a bit.
Okay.
Some of the things they have benefited for is more access, safer places, and even to some standards for campgrounds.
Okay.
As far as safety of the campground goes, the way it's designed, the way it's laid out, the pedestal placement, make sure they're actually right.
Okay.
They've done a lot for BLM land out west where we can actually get into there easier.
Okay.
So yeah, they've actually done quite a bit for us.
Hey, Thousand Trails, RVIA is going to be on you soon because them pedestals don't work everywhere. Oh, sorry. Whoops. Shouldn't have said that. Now, there are, I probably should edit that part out, but nevertheless, any laws or policies shaped by RVA specifically that benefits you?
Not that I could find.
Okay.
But again, I'm in that DIY category, so it's really a big gray area for all of us.
And you've already talked about how consumer interest is protected, which, you know, kind of sort of gives some benefit to the sticker. So I got another question. And, you know, I like to play the odds against the middle. Who in the world trains the RVIA inspectors? And are they independent? Are they outside auditing? Like, what happens after repeated failures? Like, who? Yeah.
It's interesting how their system works.
Okay.
The RVIA actually takes what they're going to put into a standard from the NFPA, National Fire Protection Agency.
Okay.
They fire all three specific sections in there. I can't remember what they are right off the top of my head, but I know one of them is National Electric Code.
Okay.
Specifically Article 515, that's the one for RVs, and 2 other sections in there. They take that and they base their recommendations for standards off of that. So when time comes around for duty inspection of the manufacturers, they take their recommendations. That's what they use of what it should be.
Right.
They actually use the code to enforce it.
Okay.
So as long as they're following what the NFPA is saying, they're fine. Now, as far as being an independent, RVIA is totally independent, at least from what I can find.
Okay.
Now, this is information that you can find online, not saying it's 100% accurate.
Right.
But
Right. Okay. And when you say find online, like go straight to their website.
website, Google, any of your favorite search engines, a little looking in the forums.
There's the website right there. Check it out, because might be some good stuff in there, especially for the DIYers. And I love a good DIY build, because they're all about personality, feelings, and desires. And when you have people like Cousin Dave over here, it's done right. And when it's done right, it's an inspiration to others. So really quick, just straight talk for buyers. Guys, folks out there, we got the RV shows coming up in Timonium. We got a big show in September. I'm going to try to drag Dave out there with me so y'all can shake his hand and meet him and pick his brain for a little bit. But just really quick, what should buyers feel confident about when they see that seal? What should they, oh, great, it's got the seal here. What are they feeling confident about?
That, for the most part, it's going to be a relatively safe rig.
Okay.
That's not going to say it's not going to break down mechanically. It could have engine troubles, could have transmission troubles, like it might break. It's hard to say what it is, but you can be assured that it's a relatively safe rig out there.
Okay. And what should they still inspect the vehicle?
Anytime you're getting any kind of vehicle, you want to inspect it.
Okay.
But you do it yourself or bring somebody in who knows what they're actually looking at.
Okay.
Always a good idea to do an inspection.
Okay. And should they hire an independent inspector, or should they do it themselves?
That's really up to whoever's buying it. I mean,
okay.
if they're comfortable doing it on their own and they're comfortable taking that risk, have at it. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to hire somebody.
Yeah. When I bought Biggins, of course, I've got a lot of years. I got 40 plus years of camping. I got you on the phone. I inspected my own, and I think I did pretty good. I've had, minimal issues, and the issues that did come up were just normal wear and tear, like a refrigerator. I ended up replacing it and putting in a 12-volt residential. And that was actually based on something you and I talked about. So I appreciate the knowledge on that. A couple of other things. I started upgrading my plumbing, like my sinks and faucet, material. All of that's now residential because the RV stuff is just not meant to be used in a live-in situation. Right? So use your resources if you decide to do it by yourself. But I think if you don't know, find somebody that does know. You might need to pay an independent inspector. And let me ask you this. This is going to upset a couple of people, but what is the big misunderstanding about the RVIA seal? What do people misunderstand about it the most?
A lot of people see it and think, oh, absolutely perfect. Nothing's going to ever go wrong. It's a warranted on product. No, it's not.
Okay.
It's there strictly for safety standards. That's it. It's like when you have your car inspected.
So here's what's going to upset some folks. So Thor putting it on their RV doesn't mean that you're not going to have Thor problems.
Right.
Okay. All right.
No, not necessarily just Thor problems. It could be Thor problems, or what chassis that are using? Freightliners, Fords?
Yeah, Thor is using on their gas units, the typical Ford F53 chassis. I'm sure they're using Freightliners for everything else. And here's the thing. Those two platforms are solid. They've been around for, the issue with manufacturers like Thor, Winnebago in the early 2000s, and Coachman here and there, even now, the issue isn't the chassis. It isn't the motor. It isn't the build of that. It's the build, the box.
Yeah.
Thin wood, bad electrical joint, but they got this seal. So people think, oh, value price Thor must be pretty good. It's got the RVIA seal on it. But after listening to Cousin Dave, we already know just because it has a seal doesn't mean that the thing is going to hold together.
I'll give you a perfect example.
Go for it.
You go to an appliance store, and something with a guarantee on it. Yeah. What happens as soon as that guarantee goes up?
It breaks.
And it's always something simple.
Yep.
Something that the guarantee wouldn't have covered anyway.
Yep.
Similar process.
Okay. So, y'all out there looking to go to these shows, again, look for the seal because it means that the basics are there. But that doesn't mean that the quality of the build, the box itself, the thing that the chassis is, sitting on the chassis, doesn't always mean that that's going to be perfect. And you got to do your own due diligence. Now, here's the thing, David. They're not going to let you peel back the walls to see what's back there. So how do you get around that?
Well, for me, with years of experience, I can go up and knock on wood and tell roughly how thick it is.
Okay.
I can get a feel for how things are built. But for somebody just starting, it's difficult,
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're exactly looking for, it's almost impossible to tell.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be lying here. It can be a tough project.
Yeah. And Big Brother Rob talked about that. Remember when we went to the show last year, folks, he talked about the builds of the diesel pushers that came out of Coachman and Forest River, how it looked like his $30,000 travel trailer when it came to quality, the build, the material, the walls. These are the type of things that only experience can teach you. And if you don't have the experience, my suggestion is don't go and buy the newest, shiniest thing out there, because there's nothing worse than buying a new, shiny turd. Because a turd is a turd is a turd, whether it's shiny or whether it's not, whether it's fresh or whether it's been trotting on a horse trail. A turd is still a turd. So with that being said, if this episode gave you some game about the RVIA seal, hit that like button so more RVers can see it. Drop a comment and tell us about your rig and what you're rolling in. Factory RV, van build, cargo trailer, or schoolie. And if you ever been turned away from a campground because you didn't have the sticker, we want to know about that too. We might feature them in the next episode. So with that being said, we want to thank Cousin Dave all the way from Middle River for coming over here. We appreciate your knowledge. We appreciate you letting the people know what the real deal is. And I promise we're going to have you back, because we got to look at that box that you built.
No problem. Glad to
All
do it.
right. Thank y'all so much.
Yep.
We'll see you when we see you.
This is Hanging with the Hazes. The road is talking, but you gotta be listening. We got our ear to the ground while y'all keep getting on down. We'll catch you in 2 and 2. In the meantime, stay smooth, stay moving, and keep on grooving.